Men crawled through a tunnel underground. By morning, 50 of them were dead, not from the escape, but from a bullet to the back of the head. During World War II, deep in the forests of Germany, the Nazis built a prison they believed no one could ever escape from. It was called Stalag Luft III, and it held up to 12,000 Allied Air Force officers, pilots, navigators, and gunners who had been shot down and captured. On the surface, it didn't even look that bad. There was a library, a swimming pool, sports fields, and even a small theater. The German guards respected their prisoners. Both sides were airmen. They shared an unspoken bond. But none of that mattered. Because every single man behind that wire had one thought burning in his mind: get out. I don't say this often, but if you actually like this kind of thing, subscribe. You'll probably like the next videos too, so subscribe, I guess. I mean, if this is your thing, just hit subscribe. It wasn't just personal. Every escape attempt forced Germany to pull thousands of soldiers away from the front lines to chase down runaways. Escaping was an act of war. The Germans knew this, so they built the camp to make escape impossible. The fences were double-layered with thick barbed wire. Watchtowers with machine guns covered every angle. A low tripwire ran along the ground, cross it, and guards had orders to shoot without warning. Beyond the fence was 30 meters of completely open, flat ground with nowhere to hide. And tunneling? They'd planned for that too. Every building was raised off the ground so guards could look underneath. The soil was soft, sandy, and unstable. It collapsed easily. And underground microphones were buried around the entire perimeter to detect the vibrations of digging. Over the fence, certain death. Under the fence, supposedly impossible. The prisoners looked at all of this and said, "We'll figure it out." In April 1943, around 600 prisoners came together under the leadership of Roger Bushell, a sharp, fearless South African RAF officer. His code name was Big X, and he had a plan unlike anything ever attempted. They wouldn't dig one tunnel, they would dig three, codenamed Tom, Dick, and Harry. The logic was simple and brilliant. If the Germans found one tunnel, or even two, they'd assume the threat was finished. They'd never suspect a third was still going. Each tunnel entrance was hidden in plain sight. Tom was under a stove in one of the barracks. Dick was hidden beneath a drain in a washroom. Harry, the one that would make history, was concealed under a heavy iron cooking stove sitting on top of a secret wooden trapdoor. Each tunnel was dug to about 7.6 meters deep, roughly 25 feet underground. That specific depth was chosen for one reason: it was just deep enough that the German microphones couldn't pick up the sounds of digging. But digging that deep in loose, sandy soil meant one terrifying reality. Without strong support beams, the tunnels would collapse and bury the diggers alive. They needed wood, lots of it, and they were locked inside a prison. What happened next was pure genius. The prisoners began quietly dismantling their own living quarters. Bedboards vanished from bunks, chairs broke apart, benches disappeared overnight. The men were stripping the camp of raw materials, piece by piece, right under the guards' noses. Here's the twist. When the Germans noticed items going missing, they were required by international law, under pressure from Red Cross inspectors, to replace them. So the prisoners would steal the boards, the Germans would provide new ones, and the prisoners would steal those too. The camp commander was completely baffled. He recorded that the materials being used up in the camp were roughly 5 times more than what should have been needed. He had no idea where it was all going. It was going underground, with the stolen wood the prisoners built. Full support frames lining the tunnel walls and ceiling. A miniature railway system using wooden rails and tin can carts to move sand and supplies. Electric lighting, tapped directly from the camp's own power grid using stolen wire. A fresh air pump, made from modified kit bags and hockey sticks so the diggers could breathe while working. All of this was being built and operated directly beneath the German guards, who had no idea. Here's a problem no one thinks about until you're actually digging a secret 111-meter tunnel. What do you do with all the dirt? Digging that tunnel moved an enormous amount of earth, and the underground soil was bright yellow, a dead giveaway against the gray surface soil above ground. The solution was both clever and slightly ridiculous. Over 100 prisoners were assigned a secret role. They became known as the Penguins. Each one would fill long, narrow cloth bags, sewn from trouser legs and fabric scraps, with yellow sand and tuck them inside their coats and trousers. Then they'd walk casually around the camp, releasing the sand through hidden openings at the bottom of their trouser legs, shuffling their feet to blend it into the surface soil as they walked. The waddling walk this created earned them the name. Hundreds of tons of sand were moved this way, right in front of the guards, every single day. At the same time, a network of lookouts tracked every guard movement across the camp. They watched the ferrets, the German anti-escape specialists, whose entire job was to find tunnels. The moment a ferret got too close, a silent warning system rippled through the entire network in seconds. And every trace of tunnel activity was hidden before the guard arrived. In September 1943, despite everything, the ferrets found Tunnel Tom. It was a crushing blow. Months of work gone. Around the same time, American prisoners were moved to a separate compound. The Germans had realized the British and Americans were working together too effectively. After losing Tom, the escape committee made a hard call: abandon Dick and use it only for storing supplies. Focus everything on Harry. Getting out of the tunnel was only step one. Once outside, every man would be traveling through Nazi Germany, a country on high alert, filled with checkpoints, police, and informants. Anyone without proper documents would be arrested on sight. So a whole other team went to work. Tailors converted military uniforms into convincing civilian clothing. Suits, coats, worker outfits. Forgers created fake identity papers, travel permits, and letters of employment using hand-carved stamps and inks mixed from boot polish. Compass makers built working compasses from magnetized needles and broken record parts. Maps were carefully copied by hand. Even some German guards were quietly recruited. A few who were tired of the war could be bribed with chocolate, coffee, and cigarettes from Red Cross packages. In return, they supplied pens, paper, German currency, and other materials that couldn't be made in camp. By March 1944, Tunnel Harry was complete, 111 meters long, fully lit, fully reinforced. The escape was set for the night of March 24th. Around 200 men were selected. The first 30, those who spoke German fluently and had the strongest fake documents, would go first and try to catch the last train out of Sagan before dawn. The rest would travel on foot toward neutral countries: Sweden, Switzerland, Spain. The tension was immense. Every man had memorized his route, rehearsed his cover story, and checked his forged papers dozens of times. At 9:30 p.m., the first man entered the tunnel. But the exit boards at the far end were frozen and jammed. It took until 10:15 p.m. to force them open. Then came the second shock. The exit hole had been calculated to emerge inside the tree line. It didn't. It came up several meters short, in the open in full view of the guard towers. For a moment, the whole operation balanced on a razor's edge. They pressed on. A lookout hid inside a German observation post at the tree line, holding a rope connected to the exit hole. One tug meant clear. Silence meant freeze. One by one, men pulled themselves out of the frozen earth and crawled across open ground into the trees. Over the next 6 hours, 76 men escaped. Between 60,000 and 70,000 German soldiers, Gestapo agents, and police were mobilized across the country. Of the 76 who escaped, 73 were recaptured. Only 3 made it to freedom, 2 Norwegians who reached Sweden, and 1 Dutch officer who made it to Gibraltar through Spain. If this hit you the way it hit me, do one small thing right now. Hit subscribe. Not because an algorithm needs it, but because you deserve more stories told this honestly, this deeply, this completely. Drop a like if you think these 76 men deserve to have their story heard by 1 million more people. Share this with one person who loves history, who respects courage, or who simply needs reminding that the human spirit refuses to be caged, ever. And in the comments, I want to know one thing. Would you have crawled into that tunnel? Knowing the odds. Knowing what waited on the other side. Knowing what happened to 50 of the men who came before you. No right answer. Just an honest one. See you in the next story.